Hello, super coaches. Tom Sangster here, and welcome to the Late Mail Podcast, round 9. It is Magic Round, and I'm extremely jealous of all the super coaches and NRL fans who are heading up there for this week. Schoolies for dads, as it's called, and I don't think you can get a more perfect description than that. Unfortunately, I won't be there, but I know a lot of people will be. Make sure you rip and tear. Give it a red hot crack. We've got some decent late mail today. I know we're a day earlier than usual because Magic Round means that the first game rather, is on a Friday rather than Thursday. So no footy tonight. So late mail has been a tad slow so far. But the biggest news is that Jack Whiten looks like he's out for 4 weeks with a calf injury. That means that Souths are in dire straits in the halves. They're down to about their 5th or 6th string halves combination. Means so Lewis Dodd, who is their big English recruit, who's on pretty decent money, he will play in the halves. Look, it seems like Wayne Bennett is desperate not to play him, to be honest. So, look, maybe Josh Schuster comes into contention. Look, either way, they're delving pretty deep into their half stocks there at the Rabbitohs. Big show, as I said. I'm going to send through your questions, guys. I can already see a couple lobbing in now, so I'll be answering those live in just a second. My trades, I'll go through those, some buy purchases, plus, of course, all the SuperCoach Magic Round specific stuff, like, in particular, the Suncorp surface. It's been copying an absolute hammering. I know that they've re-turfed half the pitch there, so look, it could be tough in the captaincy stakes this week. Is it going to get torn up? Do we captain guys early? Do we captain guys late? We've got some big stats around that have come through from the NRL SuperCoach Mastermind, which I'll be passing off as my own. But if you want to check out his story, it is on the site now, just a new section of the app. Heaps of questions, so many. So I might just take a couple straight up. Is it, from Craig, is it possible for Dylan Egan to get dual position because he plays half a game in the front row? Yes, look, I don't want to promise anything, but that is true. He definitely plays in the front row, starts on the edge generally, and then switches to the front row. So he's definitely a guy on our radar, but certainly can't promise anything. The next updates will be in round 12, so look out for that. Thoughts on, what have we got? Josh is saying, thoughts on double trade of Sharp and Lucas. I like it. The Knights are a really good team to target in terms of their schedule. The issue is that they're going like absolute bastards. So can they turn it around? It's not an issue for Lucas, who I bought in last week. Very happy with that. I can see why he's one of the most purchased players this week, because he relies on those attacking on the base stats, not the attacking stats. Whereas Lucas is far more, whereas Sharp is far more unpredictable because he does rely on those big attacking stats a bit more. Having said that, his base has been pretty good this year. So, look, I think Sharp is a really, really good pod, and Lucas, I think, is, if not a must, then pretty close to a must. I had him from the start of the season, then I bought him back in for his return from injury, and I'm a very happy owner. Ponga as captain, surely. Look, it's not... people are joking about this around the office because Ponga has been in horrendous form. I actually don't hate it. They play pretty early in the round. It's a decent matchup. This could be the round that the Knights turn things around. So as a pod move, I don't mind it at all. It's probably safe to go the VC with Ponga, given how badly the Knights and he have been going, but certainly a VC or C option in Magic Round this weekend. Is Herbie worth the 700K? I definitely want to get Herbie Farnworth into my team. The issue is, as you say, the price, 700K. I can get Bo Firma in for not almost 200K cheaper. So I'll be going for the base of Firma instead of Herbie Farnworth. But yes, it is very tempting, and I think he is a real elite guy in that position. Would you consider Cleary to Fogarty? Look, I think that must be a joke. I know Cleary's been talked up as a captaincy choice this week, and I've got some stats later on about how good he actually goes at Suncorp and against the Broncos. We'll get to that in a sec, but I reckon Cleary could be in for a barnstormer this weekend and is definitely a captaincy option. I'll go to my trades. So, I'll share my screen for you now. And show you what's going on this week for Sangster's Paradise. So, I've got Hugo Savala in. I think he is the cheapie of the week. There's a lot of conjecture over who is the cheapie of the week this week. I think Savala is a pretty clear number one. The main reason is that he's just so cheap. He's 233K, so he can free up a lot of money off that trade. Whereas the other money makers this week are guys like Robert Darby, who is 360K, not even a cheapie really. It's a mid-ranger, and Billy Burns, who's 337K. So. Look, Billy Burns only really has 2 games. He was inflated last week by some big attacking stats. He's only predicted to make 81K over the next 2 weeks before Wilton comes back into that team. So for me, he's a definite avoid. And then Robert Darby, look, it's tempting because he did get that big ton a couple of weeks ago, but his games before that were not great. He was averaging in the 30s. I know they've got a decent run in terms of that they don't leave Queensland for a number of weeks, but the teams they come up against are going pretty well. Your Warriors, Panthers, who I know are not going well this year, but you always have that fear in the back of your mind that they're going to switch back to the 2024, 2023 form at some stage. So that is a worrying matchup, even though it's been traditionally a good matchup this year. And then the Seagulls, and then the bye. So it's not the greatest schedule. It's just the fact that they're playing a lot of those games at Queensland Country Bank Stadium is an advantage. He's set to see an 81K price rise, but again, Savala is more than 100K cheaper. He's got issues as well. He's certainly not the best cheapie we've seen this year. He's a really risky cheapie, in fact, given that he averaged he scored 20 and 21 when he was in his first 2 games in the halves. Then last week, got that 60-odd, but it was saved by a try late. He kicked some goals as well, which he won't do all the time. That was when Sandon Smith was off for a sin bin. So his scores were inflated too. So he's definitely not perfect, but just the fact that he's so much cheaper than the other cheapie options this week means that he comes in, and Hubner is the guy that drops out. Hubner's been good. He's made 140-odd K. But had that injury last week, and the break even is at 55. So, and his average is 45. So for those of you who are new to break evens, the break even is the score that a player needs to get for their price to stay the same. So Hubner's break even is 55, yet his average is 45. So there's a very good chance that he will start dropping in price from here. So you can cash him out. And Bo Firma, as I mentioned before, the base is good. The price is good after those couple of games in the centres. Obviously, the issue is that he could get switched to centre at any stage, but I still think he is a really good purchase for this round. And Hiroti is the guy who makes way, which makes absolute sense given that he's made his cash and he is injured for this week with Kyle Iro back into that team. We'll take some more questions. You can see a whole bunch popping in. Here we go from Craig. He's asking, is Gutho a hold? I'll just get rid of this screen for now. Look, I think that Gutherson has done his dash this year. We had some stats on all of our shows pretty recently about how well he was going this year compared to what he's done in past seasons, and it was always going to stop. So I think you've had a great run with Gutho, but it is time to cut the cord there. On to, would you VC Hines or Teddy? From Luke. Look, I currently have the VC on Hines, as you can see here. I'm kind of tempted by whacking it on Kalen Ponga. Some stats that the mastermind chucked in his last word article, which is just up on the site now. Have a look in the news section of the app. Has kind of got me thinking to go Ponga with the VC. And then I think I'm just going to be boring and go with Terrell May as the captain. bunch of tons already this year. It's boring. It's old school. It's, Corey Parker, Paul Gallen kind of days of Supercoach, but it's hard to go wrong, particularly given that you've got those question marks over the Suncorp Stadium surface and whether it can stand up to all those games. Take one more question. Should I go Savala? Straight captain on Ponga from Lindsay. Look, it's risky, but not many people are doing it. I'll get to the captaincy stats later, but you could make some serious ground with a pod move on that. I don't hate it, but it'll just be VC for me. On to some great buy purchases coming up. So we've got a story coming up on the site soon from Max Bryden, who's our early mail guy, draft guy. He's written a great piece on the best buy purchases for round 12. James Tedesco is obviously top of the list. I think you can wait on him. I want to see whether he misses that Origin team first. There's no reason to rush, so I'll be waiting right until Origin teams are named to bring him in. But if he doesn't make Origin, he plays all those 3 big buy rounds. If, as I've said before, if he makes Origin, he misses 5 of 8 and then becomes, essentially the guy with the worst schedule in competition. So it is worth waiting on him. On to guys from the Knights. So Dylan Lucas, Marju, we've spoken about. Fletcher Sharp is a really good pod, and I know that Max Bryden's great pod is Kai Pearce-Paul, and it makes absolute sense. He's been flying under the radar there at the Knights since his return from injury. The other team to target, the other thing to point out is that you've got Payne Haas, who is a certainty to be named for the Blues, assuming he is fit, which he is currently. And then you've got Terrell May, who is being heavily backed. And look, it would be hard to deny him a New South Wales Origin spot given the form that he has put up this season. So you've got 2 of the best, in fact, the 2 best guys in Supercoach this year could be missing over that Origin period. So what do you do with your prop position? I'm not sure yet, and I will be making this decision in round 12, but certainly guys like Adam Fanua-Blake and Joseph Tapine are really good options if you want to sell one of those guys. I wouldn't sell both, but it is a definite option for overall players to sell one of those guys. We'll do some quick late mail. So Adam Fanua-Blake had a shoulder injury over the weekend. We're keeping an eye on that, but it looks pretty good for this stage. They have the 24-hour cut later on tonight. Dylan Egan, the NRL physio, pointed out that he picked up a hand injury over the weekends. No reports from the club, so we'll be chasing that to see what the go is with Dylan Egan, given that he is a very popular cheapie and one of the most popular sells this week. So obviously, if he is injured, that would impact that greatly. Felice Kafusi is out and Kurt Donahue out for the Dolphins. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Jack Whiten out for 4 weeks. So very short in the halves there at the Rabbitohs. Let's chat captaincy. I will bring up some stats here. If you don't have SuperCoach Plus, it is absolutely awesome. $29.95 for the year. You can do cool things like this, like get in and see who are the most popular captains for this week. I've just sorted that by the top 10% of Supercoaches. So this is what the best Supercoaches are doing. And that's the total own there. You see Terrell May's owned by basically 100% of the top 10% of Supercoaches. But what I want here is the most popular captain. And there, Terrell May, right at the top. Payne Haas is second. So everyone, about over 50% of the top Supercoaches are going boring this week. They are going with the guys who are just going to churn out the work and not taking too many risks. But if you do want to take some risks, Nathan Cleary here at only 13.7% of the top 10%. So not that many Supercoaches are captaining Cleary this week. On paper, it's a pretty tough matchup, but I will show you some great stats. So I've just clicked on teams and venues, which is a great section of SuperCoach Plus, where you can see average against opposition. And you can see here that Nathan Cleary, over his entire career, a very long career, has averaged basically 90 against the Broncos. So he loves playing against them. I can also see that at Suncorp, he averages 92. So he's got an incredible record. In fact, if I sort by that, he has, take out Jarrell Skelton, because he's not a captaincy option really, and he has the highest average of any player this round at Suncorp Stadium by almost 10. I mean, the next most relevant guy there is Nicho Hynes. So he's more than 10 points ahead of the next guy in terms of average at Suncorp Stadium. So I think that Nathan Cleary is a really good, sneaky captaincy option, given that he is only captained by that 13 or so %. I'll go back to the captaincies again. Ryan Pappenhausen is popular. It is the final game of the round, and there's this myth about Suncorp Stadium that it gets chopped up, and the final game of the round is not good for SuperCoach and certainly not for captaincy. But the mastermind in his story has some great stats in there where there's some really good attacking footy in that final game of the round over the years of the Magic Round, which has lasted for like 6 or 7 years now. So I wouldn't be too scared about captaining Ryan Pappenhausen. He did retain the goal-kicking duties last week, which is huge, obviously, even with Nick Meaney back into that team. And the other factor on him has completely escaped me. But yeah, there's plenty of good reasons to captain Pappenhausen. Oh, the bounce back factor of the Storm. Whenever they lose, they always come good. So I'm liking Pappenhausen a fair bit. Go for some VC options. Tedesco, look, if you own Tedesco, you basically have to chuck the C or VC on him. I think he's such a good pod for SuperCoach. You just have to do it. Nicho in the first game of the round. So if you believe the chat, the surface is going to get cut up there at Suncorp, then targeting that first game of the round is good. And I'll also show you some stats, a few more stats on Nicho. I touched on it before, but teams and venues. Does love Suncorp Stadium, 81 points. He scored a massive 170 odd in one Magic Round clash a few years ago. So he does like Magic Round. I know he's not in as good a form as he has been, but still definitely a sneaky VC option. Certainly don't go the straight C on him. That's about it. I might just take some questions to end the show. Is it worth Casey McLean and copying 20 grand loss or time to move him on? Yeah, he's peaked. Yeah, I think he does have to go. You got some pretty good replacements this week. You can get to Bo Firma or someone like that for not too much. Karaz a buy now that Lomax will be back for Origin. Yeah, absolutely. And I know I keep mentioning the Masterminds article, and it is a very good one. He's got some great stats in there about Karaz and who he's marking up against this week, which is Robert Darby. Is it Robert? He's got a very easy matchup this weekend and has actually picked Karaz as a smoky captaincy option this week, which is a little bit wild, but I don't hate it at all, and the stats certainly back that up. Kane Bradley, we've got a question about him. Is he okay as a dual CTW and 2RF and can swap with Lucas? The issue with him is that he is a genuine contender to play sometimes. Sua Fa'alongo is back this week, but still, do you want Kane Bradley, who can? I mean, he can switch between 2RF and the backs, so that means he could play bench time and end up being an AE nightmare. It's not for me. I'd probably go a genuine Nuff instead of Kane Bradley. Well, that is it. Good luck to everyone in SuperCoach this weekend. I wish I was up there in Brisbane, ripping and tearing this weekend. If you are, have an incredible time, and I will catch you later.